Hello and welcome to the Fishbowl, Eyes on Education podcast. I'm your host, Chris Matheson, and we are back with yet another edition of our Two for Tuesday initiative. We have a special guest in the Fishbowl today. I'd like you to welcome Kait Burton to the Fishbowl. Kait, how are you?
I'm good, Chris. How are you today?
Awesome. I'm looking at your background. I commented on it before we started. It's absolutely beautiful. The sun is shining, shaping up to be a great day.
Yes, absolutely.
So Kait, tell us a little bit about what you do at CS Partners and how long you've been there.
I am currently a payroll specialist. I have been with Partner Solutions for 3 years. So what I do is I do the school payrolls, and then we also have payroll-only clients, and I process and implement them as well.
I say this every time I have someone from payroll on a show. I'm eternally grateful because I know that you guys don't always have the days off everybody else has. It's tough for you to take a day off in payroll.
Absolutely. People have to get paid.
Now, you had something exciting happen recently in your life. You moved. Tell us a little bit about that transition.
Absolutely. So I actually just got engaged as well. And shortly after that, thank you. We bought our first home out in Grand Blanc in a cute little neighborhood, and we love it. It's not too far from work. We have a beautiful backyard. It's really nice.
Any wildlife in the backyard?
Yes, lots of squirrels and mice. It's crazy.
Squirrels and mice.
Yeah.
Really?
My cats love watching them out in the back deck.
When we were looking for anytime we looked for a house, I always tell my wife I have two big requirements. Number one, I need a home office, and number two, I really appreciate if we could have nobody living behind us. I'd like that. And so we moved a couple of years ago, like literally like a mile and a half, because there were just no kids in our neighborhood, and we moved over to this neighborhood, which is chock full of kids. But both of them satisfy those requirements. And so we have a lot of wildlife. And my wife, gosh, it was about maybe a month ago, Kait, I heard the scream from the deck, and it's like 11:30 at night. And I am not I like my sleep. And so I was like, I should probably go see what this is. But man, I'm just woken up out of sleep, so I'm a little bit foggy. She stepped on a snake on the deck.
Oh no. And
it's a snake I hadn't seen before. So I was curious as to what it was, and thankfully it was just a milk snake, because it did bite her, and so she was like, the reason she was so worried is because I found a rattlesnake skin in our neighborhood last summer. It shed its skin, and I caught it years. My wife's going to kill me if she listens to the podcast, because I always tell the story about but have you ever caught a rattlesnake? Because me and my brother caught a rattlesnake up north years ago and put it in a cooler, moved it away from where we were camping, and took it way out in the middle of the woods and dumped it. So I've seen it before. So I saw this. I was walking my dogs and I saw this skin on the side of the road. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a rattlesnake skin, right? And so when she said she was bitten by the snake, she was freaking out. She's like, what if it's a rattlesnake? I'm like, what, are you bleeding? And she's like, no. I'm like, probably not a rattlesnake then. And so when I saw it, I used Google to identify it, and it was a milk snake.
That's way better than a rattlesnake, that's for sure.
I love the wildlife. I usually either walk in the morning or at night. And at night, I always see the deer crossing the road. I think it's just cool. It's an extra perk, right?
It is. It's beautiful. We're lucky. We have a bunch of woods behind us, and it's owned by the land bank, so no one will ever be able to build behind us. So it'll remain perfect and quiet.
That is awesome. So just engaged. Have you set a date for the wedding?
Not yet. With just buying a house and stuff, we wanted to get settled here first, but we're thinking maybe next year, probably like a winter wedding. We both love the snow and the cold weather and all the beautiful lights during Christmas time. So hopefully next year, but we'll see.
Awesome. I'm excited for you. I had a winter wedding. Loved it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Everyone's like, well, what about the roads? I'm like, well, you make it or you don't, I guess.
I'll find out how much you love me if you show up at the wedding.
Exactly.
So Kait, we started this a while back, and the idea behind it was to share things that could make people's lives better. And so we asked people to think about, what are 2 things that you're working on right now, or 2 things you've learned, or 2 things you've implemented in your life that you believe possess the potential to improve your life both personally and professionally. Would you mind giving us your first one?
My first one would be the ability to question. As kids, we always ask questions, why is the sky blue? Why can't I ride my bike to the moon? Well, there's always abundance of questions, and sometimes we don't have answers to them, but we continue to ask. And I feel like as adults, we stop asking questions.
Right.
I don't know if that's like the fear of or lack of confidence, or you don't want people to think that you're not competent because you're asking questions, but that's not the case at all. The ability to ask question provides like clarity and transparency, and it keeps people engaged, and you're constantly learning. And I'm really grateful that I work for Partner Solutions, because I came from a place that if you ask a question, it is what it is. That's how it's always been. Nothing ever changed.
Interesting.
So the fact that we can ask questions so openly, it is amazing. I constantly learn. I learn about myself, and I learn about my role, and I learn about the company. And I don't feel that people are like, oh, she doesn't know. They welcome my questions. They want to, and our processes change because of this. And it's really amazing.
Hearing you say that is awesome. It's awesome to be able to hear. And I have two thoughts about it. When I was first hired at CS Partner Solutions, my direct supervisor was a woman named Mary Kay Shields. And Mary Kay's, retired before you came on board, but she was awesome. And one of the things I thought was so impressive about Mary Kay was she had absolutely, positively no fear about asking a question. And she would, educators love acronyms, and it's an alphabet soup in education. And she would be in a big meeting with like hundreds of people. She's like, I don't know what that means. What does that stand for? And I thought, what courage, because you're so right. Oftentimes we hold back because we don't want to appear that, we don't want to give them that indication that we're not knowledgeable as we believe we should be. The second one is, I was fortunate enough to work for a guy named Roger Swade very early on in my career. And Roger Swade said, Chris, if you ever ask me a question, I tell you that's the way we've always done it. He goes, you have to smack me in my head and tell me that we're going to do it differently. And he said, because that's the way we've always done it does not mean that we should never do it differently.
Exactly.
Can you think of a particular example of something like when did you kind of have a breakthrough? Because I'll be honest with you, like I really struggled for the longest time of asking a question that I thought I probably should know the answer to this, so I'm not going to ask the question. Was there a breakthrough for you that you just said, I'm over that barrier now, I'm going to ask the question if I don't understand?
I think it just kind of started right from the get-go. Our team is very open and honest with each other. And I think the fact that this was a completely different career choice for me, and them being so welcoming, it was easy for me right off the bat to just ask questions. And to this day, I'm still able to ask them questions like, I know we've talked about this, but what was this? And we really encourage all of our new people and our team to ask questions all the time.
It's an awesome environment to work in when you have that freedom, and not only have the freedom, but it's welcomed, right? You're encouraged to do it. Tell me about your second idea that you're implementing.
My second idea is self-care. This might seem like it's a basic thing, but honestly, again, I came from a place where I worked weekends, I worked nights, I worked holidays. I didn't have PTO. I didn't have a work-life balance. And I always put, my work and everything else before myself. And I absolutely get the work done here, but we offer such a wonderful work-life balance that I'm able to get my work done and take care of myself.
Right.
And if you can take care of yourself, then that, it gives me the ability to be more focused at work. I'm not stressed out about other things in my life. It's really amazing. I can take days off and not feel stressed out about work.
That is great to hear, because that for sure is not always the case, and that certainly hasn't always been my reality. Is that sometimes you took days off, you're made to feel a little bit guilty about it. Well, it's a really busy time, and it's like it's okay, but you don't live to work. You don't live to work. I mean, you work so you can live.
Absolutely, and that's what I was doing. I was living to work, and now I have the ability to do both, work and live, and it's crazy.
What are some things you do to alleviate stress, to kind of ground yourself or get yourself back where you need to be? Like, do you have any self-care habits that you'd be willing to share?
I honestly just like daily walks, and I do this at home. I take my 5 minutes, 10 minutes and go for a walk. And we do this at work too. Sometimes you just need that break of clarity. We call it the payroll walkout. We always come back. But you just sometimes need that time to have a breath and realize it's going to be okay. The work will get done and move on.
Yeah, I laugh because I see you folks walking all the time. It's but it's great advice, because I think that getting up and moving, I mean, it clears your head, it gets your loosens your body up a little bit. I always think it's tough, because I feel like so much of my personal life bleeds into my professional life and vice versa, and so I don't have that clear demarcation. And so I'm always cognizant of, like, what do I need to do to be at my best? Years and years and years ago, I was teaching a ninth grade class called advising for students. We had this great discussion one day, and we ended up making it a module that we worked on. But how do your best days start? Like, what do you what do you need to do in order to ensure that you're going to have like a great day? And it was fascinating. The kids, I mean, as you might imagine, like, I had to eat breakfast, I have to get up on time, I had to make sure I'm not late for the bus, so on and so forth. And then one of the kids totally flipped the script and asked me, he's like, "Hey, Mr. Matheson, what do you do?" And I thought about it. I said you got to give me a week. I said, because I need to think about this, because that's really, I haven't thought about it before. And so when I came back, I said, the very simple thing is I said, I iron 6 shirts every Saturday or Sunday and for the week ahead. And the kids, I said, so that way in the morning, I don't have to, like, I'm not rushing to iron something. It's ready, it's prepared. And one of the kids said, well, but why 6? You only work 5 days. I said, well, inevitably I'm going to spill something on one of my shirts during breakfast. So I want that backup just in case. But I think that when we think, like, hearing you, it's great hearing someone say that, or someone articulate, they know what they need to do for self-care. Like, walking it helps you out. Anything else?
Sorry. I definitely walk in the morning. I make sure I have my nice cup of coffee and I enjoy it out on the deck, and just the peace and the quiet, honestly, is all I need. It seems so simple, but sometimes you just need that. Get away from all the noise and relax. So those are really the 2 major things I do, is just peace and quiet and walking.
Listen, they're two things more than most people do, and hopefully some people can adopt them and make their lives better.
Right. Yes.
Well, Kait, listen, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast and sharing your thoughts with us. We really appreciate having you on.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. To all our listeners, please like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think, and we look forward to seeing you back in the fishbowl soon.